Hey, how's it going? It's Sean Bradshaw from Cyberfret.com, and in this lesson, we're going to take a look at the very basics of guitar arpeggios, kind of a primer on understanding guitar arpeggios. First of all, what is a guitar arpeggio? Well, an arpeggio is just the notes of a chord played individually. If I was just to play a basic C chord, but instead of strum it, I just pick out each note one at a time, that's sometimes referred to as arpeggiating the chord. I'm picking out each individual note. Now, in the arpeggios that we're going to look at, though, we're not going to be just holding chords and just picking out the individual notes. We're going to be playing the arpeggios more melodically, where you're not hearing the notes ring together. You most certainly could, let multiple notes ring together, but here we're thinking more melodically, thinking about using the arpeggios, maybe in playing some lead guitar or coming up with your own riffs that utilize single notes, and you're just going to be picking the individual notes out of different chords. Now, if you take a look at something like a D chord, every major and minor chord is just made up of 3 different notes. And it's okay if you don't understand all the theory behind chords to play arpeggios. But a D major chord is just made up of the notes D, F sharp, and A. And if I play those notes of this basic D chord, where I'm strumming just 4 strings, I have a D, I have an A, I have another D, and I have an F sharp. Well, what happens is, for different chords on the guitar, the notes in order are D, F sharp, and A. They come from stacking up the first, third, and the 5th note of a D major scale. If I play a D major scale, and I play the first, third, and the 5th note of that D major scale, I have a D major chord, or a D major arpeggio if I'm playing them one note at a time. Now, so when we're going to be taking a look at arpeggios here, we're going to take a look at trying to play all of the notes in order, kind of looking at all of the possibilities in a certain part of the neck in order, so that we're not skipping any. So if I was to do that for that basic D chord, and I kind of, I was missing, I went from D right to A, and I didn't have that F sharp. And the reason is, the next F sharp would end up being here on the 4th string at the 4th fret. So if I play the D major arpeggio, adding in that F sharp on the 4th string, now I have all of the notes kind of in order. I have a D, an F sharp, A, D, F sharp. I could go on to the A up here as well. But now I'm getting closer to thinking about how we want to play these arpeggios that we're going to be doing here. Is they're playing the individual notes. I couldn't play the D and that F sharp as I strum a chord because they're both on the same string. But as I play arpeggios, I can play any number of notes on a string. So now if I kind of extend the Ds, F sharps, and As to kind of all of the Ds, F sharps, and As in this, what I'm playing is a second position. It means I'm going to play all the possible notes that are starting at this 2nd fret. Well, if I do that, then I have an F sharp here on the 2nd fret, an A here on the 5th fret, a D here on the 5th string at the 5th fret, F sharp here on the 4th string at the 4th fret, an A here on the 3rd string 2nd fret, a D here on the 2nd string 3rd fret, an F sharp on the 1st string 2nd fret, and an A here on the 1st string at the 5th fret. So that was all of the possible notes of a D major chord, played melodically, played individually. You didn't hear me let any of those notes ring together, all in this particular position. Now, in using arpeggios, you don't necessarily have to play every single one that's there. But when you're practicing arpeggios, you're looking for all of the possibilities that are within a certain area. Arpeggios definitely can, extend beyond up into, different areas, doing shifts and things like that. But we're first looking here at in position, things that are in one area. Why do these arpeggios? And why learn about arpeggios? Because they're note choices that you could use in improvising your own solos, and ones that would give a very strong chord sound, because that's what you're doing, is you're playing the notes of a chord individually. So, if I have a chord progression where I'm going from an A chord to a D chord, when I'm on the A chord, if I play the notes of the A arpeggio, or the notes of that A chord, and when I'm on the D chord, if I play the notes of the D arpeggio, then it's going to give me a very strong chordal sound. Scales have notes that are not necessarily in the chord, and so if you're kind of playing some lead and you're playing scales, that means that sometimes they're going to be notes that sound good, and sometimes they're going to be notes that sound okay, and some that might not sound so good over a particular chord. But if you were playing a lead guitar line where you're playing a note of an arpeggio over a particular chord, it's always going to sound good. If I'm playing an A major arpeggio over an A major chord, it's always going to sound good. So, or if you're writing a riff, if you're a writer, a songwriter, and you're writing a melodic riff for your song, you can center around those notes that are in the arpeggio. Combine these with scales. There's all kinds of different things you can do, but here we're just kind of looking at the very basics of the arpeggios.